One guy's seen it, the other guy hasn't. First guy's gonna tell the second guy all about it while they both get drunk.
All right, welcome to One Guy Has Seen It, another episode of the only podcast where one guy has seen the movie, the other guy has not seen the movie, and the first guy is going to try to convince the second guy to see the movie, and if he succeeds, they'll take a break. Just a spoiler, he probably will succeed. They will watch the movie, come back, nerd out about the movie, and decide how many beers you need to enjoy the movie, all while getting progressively more inebriated, because that is what they choose to do with their sentience. But without any further ado, rigmarole, hoopla, or ballyhoo, let's get into it. Sumner, give me the skinny.
Hey, how's it going?
God, it just gets better every week, buddy.
It's become a protest at this point.
You can't protest the intro of your own podcast.
Yeah.
That's so not okay.
I'm just antisocial now. I just can't. I'm doing good. I'm chilling, drinking a beer, talking with my best friend. It's going really well.
Aww.
You were telling me all about your couch cushions and your old people problems. And
yeah, man, our biggest issue with this podcast is like, so for anybody listening, the way that we do it is we talk with like headphones in on the phone while we record into our microphones and then sync it up. And what sucks is obviously we have to call each other first, but then we can't help but catch up and see how each other is doing, and then we spoil all the good stories before the intro of the podcast. Although, to be fair, I have, even though I didn't want to, I really didn't want to, I couldn't help it, I took a peek at some of the analytics on our episodes so far, and we're losing a lot of retention in the first 15 minutes. Which is a bummer. Now, granted, when I say a lot of retention, we have a whopping like 8 listeners. But if even our 8 listeners can't get through the first 15 minutes of our episodes, I think we either have a problem or we are on to something. It's one of the two. I can't decide.
I think we're on. Well, a lot of that retention might be my fault because I'll listen to the episodes when they get released. And then I have to stop because I hate hearing my voice.
Oh, come on.
So I just stop listening. So that part of that might be me because I tried a couple times on like One Cut of the Dead and Doctor Strangelove, and I was like, and then I just stopped listening.
Oh, come on. What is it about your voice that you don't like? Is it the way that it like the way that it's compressed or EQ'd, or just the sound of your own voice, period?
No, I mean my voice is fine. I think it's just the way that my mind works to get to a thought, like when I'm listening to it, I'm like, there's such a clearer way that I could have expressed that, and it drives me nuts, and I can't listen to myself sometimes.
Man, see, if anybody wants to be nicer to the people around them, or just have like a natural inclination to be nicer to people in general, definitely start a podcast and start listening to yourself, because you will see all of the things that, or hear all the things that you don't like about yourself. It's really like staring at yourself naked in the mirror, and it's a very humbling experience. And I think everyone should do it just to get out of their own fucking way. I think the world would be a better place.
I mean, I will say though, like compared to the first episode, I have a much easier time listening to myself, but it's still hard.
Hey, it's like anything else, man. We practice, we make perfect, and now I feel like we're in a state of perfection.
Andy says she really likes it, so I guess it's going well.
Hey, all we need is our moms and our girlfriends to like it, and that's enough of a reason to keep going.
Hey, it's my wife.
I got a wife. Speaking of I got a wife, let's we're doing an episode of One Guy's Seen It today. It's my turn, and God, I love it. I love it when it's my turn to pick a movie, because I can, like I said, I can punish you with movies that I want to force you to watch for reasons that aren't necessarily because it's a good movie, just because. And for this one specifically, if you haven't seen it, I'm just excited. Yeah. I'm just excited to make fun of every second of this movie with you. Because it's a movie.
Yeah,
it's a movie that was one of my dad's favorites growing up, and it was always on like Showtime 2 or something, like at weird hours of the night. And so he would always.
I might have watched it at some point.
You might have seen it. Fuck. Okay, if you've seen it, I'm screwed because I really don't have a backup. But
well, you have more like obscure movie knowledge than I do. Like you've seen things I've never even heard about.
Are you kidding me? Or did you really just say that? Did you really just say that?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean I've seen a lot of movies and some obscure stuff, but you've seen way more obscure stuff that I've never even like heard about.
No, you're being nice. By
mean
obscure, you mean terrible shit that you would never waste your time watching.
Well, some of it, yeah, but not all of it.
Well, okay, so I have a bad feeling that you've already seen it, but I'm gonna try anyway because it's a classic in my life just because of my dad, and so there's no way that I'm gonna be able to. I
do love your dad.
Yeah, and there's no. I love him too for reasons unknown, but there's no way I'm gonna be able to be objective about this movie. But okay, so I will give you the entire plot, and I think you'll immediately be able to guess what it is, but I really hope that you haven't seen it, and I'm pretty sure you have, but here we go. Okay, so it is a movie from an action. It's still Spooky Week. I feel bad that we did so many like horror and sci-fi movies before we got to like October, because I'm like, oh, it's spooky season, but we've basically almost done nothing but horror sci-fi movies so far, which I swear to all 8 of our listeners will change at some point. No, we've thrown in some curveballs, but anyway, okay, so the movie is from 1995.
Okay.
It is directed by Roger Donaldson. It stars Natasha Henstridge, Michael Madsen, Ben Kingsley. You know what it is, don't you?
No.
Alfred Molina, Forrest Whitaker,
this is
Michelle Williams. I already said Natasha. Okay, so let me see if I can let me get back to the plot here.
Ben Kingsley.
Yeah, Ben fucking Kingsley. Sir Ben Kingsley. He's a knight, isn't he?
Sir Ben Kingsley.
I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah, he is. Would you say Forrest Whitaker, Michael Madsen? Mm-hmm. This is an insane cast of people.
That's what I'm saying. That's why, like, I really think that's what holds it up is the cast. But anyway, okay. So, I like the IMDb synopsis here. Okay, a group of scientists try to track down and trap a killer alien seductress before she successfully mates with a
And you have a lot of alien seduction movies.
Look, okay. Look, I understand that we did Splice relatively recently, and this plot sounds shockingly similar. And I really feel like Splice probably pulled some elements from this movie. But you can't even put this movie and Splice in the same sentence, because this was like, I mean, this movie was like a box office sensation, and highly, even though like I obviously like. I think at the time, critics reviewed it surprisingly well for like the style of movie that it is. But But any guesses? You know what it is, right?
No, this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is something I've like never even heard about.
Really?
I don't think.
God,
I don't think.
I think because my dad was so into like weird movies like that, and some of the '90s horror sci-fi movies are some of the weirdest. Like, I've got like three or four more in this era that I can throw at you that I know you have not seen.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm surprised just based on the cast that I've never heard of.
Yeah. So the movie is called Species. And it made Natasha Henstridge an international star. I believe she already had done a bunch of modeling in like Paris and stuff. I think she started modeling at like 15, and then she was doing like Old Spice ads and Oil of Olay, and then she landed the lead in this movie, and she became a superstar. But then she was only in weird stuff. I think she was in The Whole 9 Yards after this. She was what's his face's wife.
Oh yeah. Bruce Willis.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And or I can't remember if she's Bruce Willis's wife in that movie or if she's
because I thought Salma Hayek was Matthew Perry's wife,
yeah.
Right?
I think she.
Or am I thinking of a different movie?
No, now you're fucking me up. I got to look up The Whole 9 Yards. It's been so long since I've seen it.
I mean, Matthew Perry was only in like 3 movies that I can think of off the top of my head. But yeah,
Cynthia is her name in that movie. I remember her name, but I can't remember whose wife she was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think because she's Bruce Willis's. Oh no, isn't she married to Matthew Perry? But she's like Bruce Willis's ex from his mob days.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know why I thought Salma Hayek was in that movie. Maybe I'm misremembering.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Fools Rush In that I'm thinking. No,
I get the whole 9 yards and Fools Rush In really confused in my mind. There's those two, and then there's the one with where he's dating the devil. Oh fuck, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Damn it, because it used to be on all the time. I can't remember the names of these movies.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you grew up with like the movie channels, like you saw the same things over and over again, which is why I'm surprised. Which is why I'm surprised I never ran into the movie that you were mentioning, Species.
Yeah, man, it was on all the fucking time. What is the name of that?
But I never really got into like sci-fi horror stuff until later. Like I was probably already like 15 when I started watching horror movies.
This is gonna drive me crazy. I'm looking. I'm sorry. I'm looking for this fucking movie where he's like dating. He's dating the devil.
Is it Matthew Perry? Is in that
one?
I'm
pretty sure it's Matthew Perry.
Yeah, because I'm trying to.
It was in the 90s.
Was it Fools Rush In that he was in? Also,
no, because Fools Rush In is Salma Hayek.
Yeah. Okay, that is her.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh no, not the devil one. I was just making sure that Matthew Perry was in that one.
Yes. Oh yeah, yeah. He was definitely Fools Rush In. Is it Who's the Boss? No, that's a show.
No, that's a TV show.
What the fuck? Hold on. She's
Tony Danza. I was actually just watching something about John Stamos was on some like talk show, and he was talking about when I was in my 20s, I had a girlfriend, and I caught her in bed with Tony Danza from Who's the Boss. I was like, Jesus, that's a crazy story.
Yeah.
He's like, did you ever confront Tony? He's like, no, he had the tops. He was a big star at the time. So,
fuck.
Yeah. It was. Well, I mean, like, the crazy thing was just the fact that somebody would cheat on John Stamos to be with Tony Danza. Like, that's the sentence not many people get to say.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, this is driving me fucking bananas. I can't find the movie. I know it was a 90s movie. It's like he's dating like this British chick, and she's wearing red the whole time. She's like a British actress, and she ends up being the devil, and I can't fucking remember. Anyway, back to Species. So, and for the record, like, how familiar are you with Michael Madsen?
Pretty familiar, mainly through the Tarantino stuff.
Is he in any way related to Vince Vaughn? Because I just get mad fucking Vince Vaughn vibes from like his whole like on-screen bravado.
I don't think so.
I'm like imagining them both in the same room, and I feel like I would be crushed by the weight of the two of them in the same room. I don't know how to explain that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like they're both so like
auras.
Yeah, they're both so like, hey, I'm the guy. Hey, I'm in the room, kind of thing. Like I would be like,
hey, look at me, I'm in the room, mate.
Yeah, I'm the most interesting guy in the room right now. Yeah.
Yeah. No, as far as I know, they're not related at all. But he's got a sister named Virginia. She's been in a bunch of stuff.
Crazy. Okay, well, I'll give you some random little trivia that doesn't spoil anything. I'm so good. You have not seen this movie, right?
No, I mean, I think I've seen the poster for it, like on Netflix or something, but I've never watched it.
Okay. So this is my personal favorite piece of trivia. Supposedly, during the filming, Ben Kingsley was very protective of his chair on set and didn't want anyone to touch it. And Kingsley said that Madsen would purposefully do things to it, like dumping garbage on it and hanging it from a crane, which just sounds awesome. Like, I can just imagine Sir Ben Kingsley, no one touch my chair, and Michael Madsen saying, I'm touching your chair. And
what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get wanting your chair reserved, but you're just like asking for trouble and being like, nobody fucking touch my chair, okay? Seriously, guys.
Seriously.
Not cool.
Yeah, supposedly Michael Madsen signed on as soon as he got the chance because he really wanted to play a heroic role for a change. And he still claims that this is his favorite movie he's ever been in, which is shocking to me.
Wow. Guy was in Reservoir Dogs and Kill Bill. I guess those are smaller parts, though. Maybe he's got a big part in this.
Yeah, dude, I love some of the fucking IMDb trivia that shows up on some of these movies. Like, how is this trivia? Arnold Schwarzenegger was briefly interested in the script.
Yeah,
what?
I know, right?
Like, why? Why is that on this? This is so fucking pointless.
I love IMDb trivia so much because it's user uploaded. So somebody like saw an interview somewhere and thought, this is noteworthy. I gotta go write this down on IMDb.
Fucking crazy. Oh yeah, I guess this is kind of cool. It was 2 decades later that Sir Ben Kingsley and Michelle Williams would appear in the same movie again, which was Shutter Island in 2010, which is kind of cool.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, he's the crazy. You seen that movie, right?
Oh yeah, mindfuck.
Yeah. So it's one of my favorites, just because I don't think he killed his wife. I think they're mind fucking him.
Yeah, man.
The whole time.
Yeah. So there's not really any other interesting trivia here, other than something that I do know about Natasha Hendridge, which is that she ended up marrying this guy, I can't remember his name, who won like the predecessor show to American Idol. I think it was called Pop Idol in the UK. It was like what American Idol was based off of. I think his name was it was like Rufus or Ruffian or shit, I can't remember his name. But he had some really terrible chart-topping like pop songs in the early 2000s. And they were married, I think, until 2018. And then they got a divorce. And then like a couple years ago, he died. Like he'd been in some horrible car crash 10 years prior in like a Porsche going 70 miles an hour and had really bad neck damage. And was like, doctors told him, like, you need to have this surgery or there's a really good chance that, like, any kind of jolt or like, trauma that you experience could kill you. And he was like, no, I need to save, like, I don't want to risk my vocal cords. I remember that popping up in a news story once, and I was like, that's crazy. I just imagined myself, like, at what point do you give up or risk giving up the ability to sing so that, like, someone, you know, bumping you too hard doesn't fucking kill you? Like, I would have that surgery immediately. Like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
But apparently he had been taking all kinds of weird, like, drugs for the pain and to manage the pain of his neck. And he like OD'd in a hotel taking some kind of weird, like, chemical painkiller spray. And anyway, just sad that, but I just kind of know that from kind of random music trivia that she ended up being married to that guy for a long time. But anyways, moving on. Species.
I'm looking it up right now, and nothing about the plot. I was just like, where to watch it, and they're like, they had like 3 sequels to this movie that I'm looking at.
Oh god, yeah, and
Species 2,
all of the sequels are
Species 2.
absolute fucking garbage. Like, they are so bad.
And then Species: The Awakening, which is how you know that they were like, fuck it.
Yeah,
It's just a girl. It's a blonde woman with big tits on the cover,
but that goes to show how
it.
successful this first movie was. That they knew it didn't matter. They just needed to make sequels. It was going to reel in the cash.
Yeah, and they didn't waste any time. I think 98 they had already started making sequels to it. It must have been a big success because they made 4 of them.
Yeah, the 90s were weird, man. And I at no point did I say this was a good movie. Remember that.
I'm excited. I mean, whenever Alfred Molina's in anything, I'm always on board.
Fuck
He's
yes. He's
just one of those guys.
Doc Ock.
Yeah, I love Doc Ock. He's the best part of that movie. And you've seen Boogie Nights, right?
Fucking A, I love Boogie Nights.
He's the crazy guy at the end. He's like smoking crack and stuff.
Yeah, holy shit. I completely forgot.
And there's a kid lighting off firecrackers in the back, and he's like, that's Cosmo. He's Chinese.
He's Chinese.
Yeah. Oh, and Thomas Jane's in that movie too. They have a crazy scene
I remember.
together.
Isn't he in like a diner with him at some point? Am I imagining that?
Yeah. Yeah, he's like one of their buddies that ends up like going nuts, like on cocaine.
Yeah.
Just
Boogie Nights. We should just watch Boogie
I didn't realize
Nights
how much
instead.
shit. I didn't realize how much shit Thomas Jane had been in.
He's like, a journeyman.
Yeah, and he was in Gun. He was in that video game Gun.
Fuck yeah.
Which he's just had his toes dipped in everything.
Dude, he voiced what's the main kid's name in Gun? What's the main character's name? I can't. Red or no? That's Red Dead Revolver. What am I talking about? What's his name?
What is it?
I don't even know his fucking name. We played the whole game together.
Yeah. What the fuck was it? Hold on, I'm looking it up.
Anonymous Cowboy.
Anonymous Cowboy. Colton White.
Colton White. Yeah. So he voiced Colton White.
Name.
Yeah. He voiced him in Gun, and he voiced the Punisher, I think in the same year, or within like a year of each other.
That's right.
Which are like two of my favorite video games of all time. Yeah, Thomas Jane holds a very special place in my heart.
Yeah, and then he was on Arrested Development, which was funny. He was on one episode where he's playing a homeless guy, and then Lindsay, one of the lead women, is like, "I understand you're a disgusting homeless man, but I want you." And he's like, "Oh no, I'm researching a role. I'm Thomas Jane. Don't you recognize me?" It's amazing.
Yeah, dude, and The Mist is the greatest movie of all time. Hands down. Like it's no contest.
It's one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations.
Yeah,
that's
at a weird time for Stephen
faithful.
King adaptations too. Like very few have been done well. Sorry, I'm 14.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, because the Shining's really good, but it's not really an adaptation of The Shining. It's more like Kubrick's own thing at a certain point.
Yeah. Oh, dude, Thomas Jane did Hung. Did you ever watch Hung on HBO? I think it only had like 2 seasons.
No, I always wanted to, just because I like Thomas Jane so much.
Yeah, you'll love it. It's really a travesty that it got canceled because writing was really good, the characters were good. Like I think it just didn't have, the audience was just too niche. Like it, yeah, especially at the time. It was weird too because
guy with a really big penis.
Yeah, I mean, like it is what it is. But I remember it was crazy at the time when that show was airing. The girl I was dating in high school's, I think it was like her uncle was a producer on it or like a writer. And so it was, but wow. What was really bizarre is like at the time my girlfriend's family was very, very Christian and not about HBO shows. And I remember that he had found out, I guess somehow through a conversation, I think I had been talking to, I don't remember exactly how it went down, but and I may have gotten myself in trouble by telling the girl's parents that I had seen Hung, and they told him, and he sent me a signed copy of the Blu-ray of the whole second season.
What a guy. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I don't know where it is. It's somewhere. But anyway, weird little Thomas Jane story. Yeah, so like I said, Thomas Jane, special place in my heart.
Yeah, you think that his agent was like, "All right, I got a show for you." And he's like, "Okay, what is it?" It's like, "You got a big dick."
Yeah.
And Thomas Jane's like, "I'm in."
You ever seen Boogie Nights? It's going to be that for 2 seasons.
Yeah. Do you ever think that's a curse, like, for actors? That, like, through, like, the collective, zeitgeist or whatever, that people just think you have a big penis?
I don't.
Because you're in a big
think
penis
it can only help.
But I mean, like, if you're like a single dude, and then every girl you're with is expecting you to have like a 12-inch penis, like you think that just every time it's just like the disappointment on their face. It's like, oh, I thought I was expecting something different.
Yeah, unless it's true.
Unless it's true, yeah, it could be true. Although I've heard in Mark Wahlberg's case, it's not. Right,
yeah, I did hear that was like the most expensive prosthetic dick of all time.
I'm sure he's doing okay for himself, but it's not back in that.
No.
Which I think is the last shot of the movie, is you just see his giant prosthetic penis.
Yeah. But I remember it being, like, even the first time I ever saw it, I remember, and weird shout out to my mom, I think I watched it with my mom. I think it was her that immediately was like, that's not a real penis. And I was like, whoa. So, I mean, I think it was sort of common knowledge.
It looks pretty real.
It does. Well, yeah, it's supposedly like a $20,000 prosthetic penis. I mean.
Yeah. I watched the behind the scenes, and I think it's on the DVD somewhere, and Paul Thomas Anderson does the commentary, and his first words are just like, "If you've clicked on this, you're very naughty and you shouldn't be here." It's just
that's awesome.
But it's funny. Yeah. All right. Anyway, let's watch Species.
Yes, let's watch.
I think let's
watch it.
We've scared off all the Fairweather fans by
now. Yes. I'm sure we've lost at least 4 of you. We're gonna watch this movie. Remember, this is one guy's seen it. When you hear that trumpet, #respect the trumpet. Spoilers are on the way. We'll be back. All right, we're back. One guy had seen it. Now 2 guys have seen it. Species.
Species.
All right, hit me.
Yeah.
Don't give me the skinny this time. Give me the fatty.
I'll give you the fatty. Yeah, I was I don't really have any words for what I just well, it was just like that's only a movie that could have come out like in the early 90s. It was like cuz like all movies like that I'd seen were like 2000s and they had this like chic gloss over them, but this was like dirty and like almost like run and gun, even though I'm sure it was like a big budget movie, but this movie was fucking insane. I was not expecting it to be as crazy as it was. I think I enjoyed myself, though. I'm not gonna lie. I think I had a good time.
Yeah, I won't lie. So it's probably been at least 10 years since I've seen this movie, and even though I know I used to watch it, well, I'm not gonna say all the time, but it was on frequently, and I would catch parts of it. And every time it was on, my dad would stop and want to watch it, and so it's like. I remembered parts of it, but I didn't remember it as a whole. In fact, I'm not even sure I ever watched it start to finish. You know what I mean? It's, for various reasons. It's funny because it's one of those movies that I show you really where there are no themes to break down here. There's no deep hidden truths. It is what it is. And the only notes are just passing thoughts on the ridiculous media that you are consuming. But sometimes that is just as fun.
It was really fun.
Where do you want to start?
I'll start with the opening credits because there were a couple interesting things I saw. So I think right off the bat, you have the first thing you see, the green text that comes up for the title. It's just the SS of species, but the SS is that weird like cross, and immediately my brain went to Nazi SS logo.
Oh, weird! I didn't even catch that. I didn't catch that at all.
It was so funny because I was just like, it was like the same like I don't even know. It's like little like cross, like very iconic SS, and it was SS and then it spaced out species. I don't know if that was intentional, but that was one of the first things I noticed.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That font though, like if there's anything that screams mid-90s, it's that intro sequence.
Oh yeah with the little girl and they're gonna cyanide her.
Oh no! I just mean like just the title sequence the title at the very beginning. Yeah, like the font and everything. It's like Haunted Friends.
Yeah. So this is an interesting thing. The guy that did the I guess the design for the creature. I don't even know what they call it in the movie.
She's alien human hybrid. Yeah, the parallels to Species were kind of weird, or to Splice were pretty weird. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I was like, we probably shouldn't have watched both of these movies in the same year.
I mean, I was okay. I think they were different. There were some similarities, but not too many. But the guy that did the design for the creature at the end is H.R. Geiger, who did Alien. He created the xenomorph.
Oh, no way.
So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is. She's got some xenomorph vibes to her design.
Just with tits.
Yeah, just with big tits that where tentacles come out of the nipples. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll get to the tentacle nipples. But yeah, I mean, like they kind of just throw you in immediately, and the little girl, they're gonna kill her. Because she's evil. She's got the species in her. And of course she breaks through because she's super strong, and which was a young Michelle Williams, which really took me a second to wrap my head around. I was like, oh, this is Natasha. This is the girl he was talking about.
Yeah, the only thing I know about her is that she was like married to Heath Ledger at one point. Don't they have a kid together?
Maybe, yeah. But I mean, she's been in tons of stuff. Like, she was even in Shutter Island, which you mentioned earlier.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And she's been in tons of stuff. So, but it took me. I didn't realize that was Michelle Williams. I thought she would be another character. So I was like, I looked her up and I was like, oh, if she was 21, I was like, wow, she looks like she's like 12. Like, this is such a weird.
Wait, she was 21 as she was playing the little girl? No fucking way.
No. Michelle, she was like 15, but I thought that was Natasha. What's her face that you were talking about?
Oh, I see your confusion. Yeah, got it. Okay.
Well, it was really fucked up too because like when the train scene happens and she like gets in the little cocoon and she like gets spit out of it, I thought that was naked 15-year-old Michelle Williams, and I audibly went like, "Oh my god!" I was shocked.
That's awesome.
But thankfully, that wasn't the case.
Right? Yes, of course. Of course, that wasn't the case. Sumner, you weirdo.
Although there was some questionable bits of nudity after that, which we'll get into at some point.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, like there are tons of like really talented people in here, and you know, oh my god. But Forrest Whitaker is like the what do they call him in the movie? They call him an empath.
He's an empath. Yeah, I wanted to talk about his character for a very long time if we can.
Oh god, I wrote down so many quotes that he had because I thought they were the funniest thing. Okay, number one, like if you're a screenwriter and like I thought they were gonna call him like clairvoyant, like he has like a sixth sense kind of thing that nobody can explain.
Sure.
But when they started calling him an empath, and he has like no like, you know, like it was immediately hilarious to me. Just I just imagine like a 16-year-old Valley girl being like, I just feel things and I don't know why.
No, exactly, man. And I remember as a kid thinking his character was really interesting. And, you know, like, he's clearly the most important person in this movie. It's so, his character is so ridiculously written. Like, he just feels things deeply, that's all. You know, like, he's like a walking tarot card the whole movie. Like, he's like, it's ridiculous.
He just says the most obvious things every scene.
Yeah.
He's just like, she doesn't like to be cornered.
Yeah,
she feels attacked when she's in the corner.
She didn't like being alone like that. She doesn't like being locked up like that. Yeah, no fucking shit. Who does?
I think Ben Kingsley literally says, yeah, no shit, in one scene.
That's what's so funny, right? It's like I almost didn't catch that. Someone finally addresses it. And it's fucking Ben Kingsley, whose character is equally as annoying.
Yeah.
But
oh yeah, his whole scene where they're locked in the little cell thing.
Yeah, so there's
lab.
that, right? Like that the obviously annoying scene where they're on protocol. I have to follow protocol. Like you followed any fucking protocol at all throughout this whole thing. Not a chance. No,
well, I thought it was like I thought it was gonna be something like they're infected. We can't let them out. But he's like, no, it could get out the door. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, dude, come on. It's a blob of cells. Just fucking open the door.
You can kill it when it gets out. I mean, like, it's still in a contained environment. You don't need to, like, murder them. Like, it was so insane.
No, but see, and so there's that scene, obviously, but I'm talking about, like, his character in general is just terrible. Like, the things that not even terrible in, like he's a terrible like, he's playing a terrible person. I mean, like, his lines are bad, and, like, his character's motivations are never really clear. Like, he just was the most undeveloped character to me. I don't know why I felt that way, but it felt like a waste of his talent to me. I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah, no, I agree, because I feel like they tried to build him up early on, because like she's in the little cell and they're like cyaniding her, and he's like got a tear running down his face. I was like, okay, so they're probably gonna do like a Matthew Modine from Stranger Things, like he's like a father figure to her or something.
Yeah.
But then in like the next scene it gets revealed, it's like, oh, she's like a week old or something like that.
Yeah,
so,
he has
like,
no attachment to her. That's when you get another great Forrest Whitaker line where he's like, you didn't want to kill her. Like he has a tear rolling down his cheek.
He's like, yeah, no, I didn't want to kill her.
Of course I didn't want to fucking kill her.
Yeah,
he's like a human horoscope. He's just pointing out the fucking obvious the whole movie. Like, I want to get paid to do what his character is being paid by the U.S. government to do. Like, I want that to be my job.
Yeah, he's like, oh my god, what are those people that they go see? It's like not horoscope.
The tarot card readers, psychics, yeah.
Yeah, they just paid a psychic to come around. It's like, what do you think? It's like, I think this is a bad situation and you shouldn't have done this. It's like, yeah, you're right. We shouldn't have done this.
It's almost like unintentional comic relief throughout the movie.
I thought it was one of the most brilliant non-comedy movies ever, because there's so many scenes that are just unintentionally hilarious, but they still work at the same time. Like they still work in the overall. It's like watching Dewey Cox, like for a sci-fi horror movie.
Yeah, I think. Oh, go ahead.
No. Finish your thought, because this is getting onto a different topic.
Oh no, well, I was just gonna say, I think what I love so much about the plot of this movie is just like the general absurdity of the choices that Ben Kingsley's character and like whatever organization he's working for that they've made.
I wrote it down, the SETI.
Oh, SETI, yeah, and SETI's. It's funny too because like he's not working for SETI. Like SETI is a real organization that's been around forever, but they don't have like agents like this doing. Like he's working for some weird like faction of the U.S. government that got information from SETI and stuff. But whatever this organization is, like they gloss over the fact, right, that the aliens. The first thing that these aliens out in space sent them, and he really glosses over this, was info on like an unlimited fuel source that would completely and radically change the world. But they just gloss over, and they're like, oh, also, by the way, they sent us this DNA, so we just decided to infuse it with human DNA and see what the fuck happens. Like, it's so absurd. Like, maybe it's more absurd now than it would have seemed to audiences in the 90s. But I guess it's the only reason that the plot of the movie could happen, so it's fine. But it's just like how you do no research on this DNA at all. You're just like, let's fucking fuse it with a human baby and grow it. Like, woo. Like, what? Yeah. This is madness. Anyway.
Yeah, I thought that was funny too. Because I totally forgot about that until you mentioned that. Because I was like, that's like kind of what kicks the plot off, like the very beginning.
Yeah.
And it just, it becomes a footnote really quickly.
Yeah. Anyway, I digress.
It's really just kind of like a slasher movie. Like it ends up becoming one.
Yeah, definitely.
At a certain point. But yeah, it's funny you mentioned too in that initial scene where they're like introducing everyone and he's basically laying out what the plot is. I always love 90s tech when they talk about data or like bytes of data, and he's like, this takes up 1 kilobyte of data. I'm like, I bet that sounded really important.
No,
in
he
1995.
said a quarter. I wrote it down.
A quarter of a kilobyte.
A quarter of a kilobyte.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I wrote down 1/4 of a kilobyte too, and I forgot. It's so funny because it's like 1/4 of a kilobyte. I don't even think can download a photo anymore. It's just hilarious.
No, I mean, your typical photo, like even a photo you take on your phone is 3 or 4 megabytes. And that's not even high resolution. So that's, 4,000 kilobytes. So they used 1/4 of a kilobyte to send out into space. And it's like, I don't think, not only that, I don't think you could fit all the things he was talking about in 1/4 of a kilobyte. Like they sent the sequencing of the human genome, Earth's population, and like, what were some of the other things? I can't remember. I didn't write any of it down.
I can't remember.
But like all the world's information in 1/4 of a kilobyte.
I was too distracted with Forrest Whitaker's character. I was laughing too much to remember what he said.
This was a movie I really, really wanted to watch at the same time with you, but I just knew we had to save it.
Yeah, this is a really good one. I really enjoyed it, and and then there's so many moments too that date it, because there's that one part at the beginning which I call back to a couple times, which I thought was funny. But he's like, well, we bred her as female because it'll make her more docile and controllable. And then then Michael Madsen's like, have you been out there on the streets?
Yeah.
These women.
You guys don't get out much. Thanks, Michael Madsen, for the comic relief. We appreciate it.
Just awful, campy dialogue, but I kind of liked it. Because he keeps like teasing him about it later on, too. It's like, oh, more docile and controllable, right?
Yeah, I think after they find the guy that she meets in the club, the diabetic guy that she ends up, killing or whatever. They're talking about the fact that she's menstruating and she's trying to mate. The scientists are going back and forth. And this is just another great Forrest Whitaker moment. The scientists are going back and forth, and I think Michael Madsen's like, yeah, she's menstruating, and then what's his face? Damn it, Doc Ock. I forgot the actor's name.
Oh, Alfred Molina?
Alfred Molina. He's like, yeah, her biological clock must be in hyperdrive. And then Forrest Whitaker's like, and then it like slow zooms on Forrest Whitaker's face, and he's like, she really wants a baby. It's like, it's just like, dude. Oh yeah, I can feel it. She really wants a baby.
It's like, I feel like the whole purpose of his character was to spoon feed the audience even further.
Hey, he's what we wanted in Primer, like a dumb younger brother to explain the plot to us.
I want a recut of Forrest Whitaker just walking around listening to those guys talk. It's like, so you want to go back in time to get money? Oh, that makes sense.
It's a bad idea. It doesn't feel right.
It's a bad idea. What happens if it doesn't work anymore? Or things get kind of complicated.
Oh man.
I grew to really love his character, which I didn't think would happen. Like,
God, he has. Oh, and I'm sure you have this written down too. There's one where after she kills that guy in his apartment, right? And then she steals his BMW, and she runs out of gas, and it's like all the crew and the scientists show up around the car, and Forrest Whitaker acts like he's just had this incredible psychic epiphany, and he's like, she walked, she walked. It's like, no fucking shit, she walked. What else could she have done? The car ran out of gas.
Yeah, it was like, it's like, no, they even got the thing where she's like, she just left the hospital. It's like, she walks. Like, yeah, no shit, she walked out of the hospital with the dude. Oh, yeah, I want to talk about that. Oh, I did write something down here before we get into that. So when they're in the little, like, lab, and they're like, dissecting this other genome that they have of the creature. Right. I don't even think they have a name for it, but, and they're like, okay, so we're going to give you 2 minutes to kill this thing, and then we're going to incinerate you, because we can't open the door for whatever stupid reason.
Right.
And then they're like, okay, just kill it. Just use the gas as a flamethrower, which I thought was one of the funniest fucking things I've ever heard. Because the room is filling with gas.
Absolutely terrible idea.
It was the stupidest thing, and it works for a second, and he's like, wait, it's not dead, and then they like force him to open the door and stuff. But
he's like, no, I think I killed it. I poked it with a shovel a couple times.
I think that's when I texted you. I was like, this movie is fucking insane. I was just like right off the bat, and it's like, for how insanely stupid most of the movie is, it still somehow works as a movie.
Yeah,
like I was still like engaged.
I think a lot of people feel that way. Like I went back and combed through even some of the newer IMDb reviews, and like most of them are 6s or 7s, and it's mostly people basically saying what you just said, which is like, I don't know why, but somehow like I didn't mind this movie. Like there was nothing about it that was good, but it was fine. Like it worked somehow.
Maybe it was just Natasha What's-Her-Face being naked for an egregious amount in the movie.
Yeah, I'm sure that did it.
Naked
I'm sure that did it for a lot of people.
I was like, I even kind of felt bad for her at a certain point. I'm like, this is a lot of naked for your first movie.
Yeah, and obviously, I feel like the general public sentiment and people, it would have been a lot. That's why, like you said, this movie would never come out today. I mean, it was.
No, not in the state that it's in.
Right.
That's kind of one of the things that's like that's enjoyable watching it. It's like you're definitely watching a movie from a different time period.
Yeah.
So you feel kind of invested in the 90s as much as you are in the movie, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like a time capsule.
It is.
Of like a different era of movies.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I Lila, sorry. She always, every time we sit down and talk, she decides it's time to play. I need to take her squeaky toy away. Hold on. She's just gonna keep squeaking it.
My animals are just as bad.
Drop it. And now she's running away from me at high speed. Drop it.
Lila, get over here.
She's not gonna stop.
Listen to your father.
I'm just gonna keep recording. I'm sorry to all of our fans out there. There's just gonna be dog squeaks in the background.
No, that's okay. No, every time we start doing one of these things, Babs comes right up to my mic and just nudges it. He's like, "What's this? Huh? You doing something with this?"
Yeah. What is up with the animal? It's like as soon as you're paying attention to an object that has nothing to do with them, they can't stand it.
I showed you my little media room up there with the little oh god, what? Dude, my brain is fucking stupid right now. I can't think of any words.
Yeah, Species will do that to you.
Yeah, it fucking broke my brain. But on the little like footrest, what is that called?
Oh, ottoman.
Ottoman. Jesus, what is wrong with me? Okay, ottoman. Yeah, Hank just came up and laid on my feet the entire. He couldn't dare to be away from me for more than 2 minutes.
What a doof.
Just a little attention whore. He can't handle it.
Yeah. Okay. So back into this thing, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd be remiss if I didn't at least, because I wrote a few more down. Let's stay on the Forrest Whitaker thing. Oh, you wanted to talk. Oh, you were talking about the guy that picks her up at the hospital. That's where you were talking before Lela started squeaking.
Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about the original guy too that picks her up from the club.
Okay, yeah, let's back up a little bit.
Because so much happens in that scene when she's at the club.
Yeah.
So, first I did think it was funny that when she got out, the first thing she bought was a wedding dress because she thinks it looks pretty.
Yeah.
She was like watching something. She's like, oh, a wedding dress, which I thought was kind of cute because I thought they were kind of do like a cutesy Fifth Element thing. I didn't have any foresight to where the movie was going at this point.
Right.
I was like, I didn't think she was going to turn into like full-blown serial. I thought they were going to make her like an empathetic. It's like, no, she's just a psycho. She's insane.
Yeah, and they could have gone that way, and it could have been more interesting and had more to say as a movie, but I think they were just like, nah, let's give the people what they want.
I didn't mind, though. I mean, like, once the change happens, like, okay, you know what? I haven't seen a movie like this in a really long time where they don't like try to humanize the thing.
So it was somehow refreshing in its surface level platitudes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like it's one of those because like now I think screenwriters like feel a need to whenever there's a monster in a movie to empathize with them in some way. It's like that makes it more artistically satisfying. But I kind of appreciated it a little bit that it was like, nope, it's just a monster. We gotta kill it. Doesn't matter what it thinks or feels.
And I think
I thought was funny.
Go ahead.
Because they had the Forrest Whitaker character who's like the empath. I thought he was gonna be like, she feels everything.
No,
and I thought
and he was for like 3/4 of the movie. That's what he was doing until he just decides that she needs to die.
He's like, nope, we gotta kill her.
I've never wanted to kill something before.
Oh yeah, but okay, so yeah, she's at the club and then like she's trying to pick up this guy and then this girl comes in and swoops in and it's like, take me to this other club.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right.
And it's like, I got a party I need someone to take me to.
And then she's in the bathroom with her and she's like, you gotta do what you gotta do, you know, a whole's fair in love and war. And she's like, eh. And then the girl goes to the toilet and then just from the stall, like the hand comes through and just rips her spine out. Like it's so gruesome and graphic.
Yeah, man.
Like they even cut to it later and her spine is just like hanging out of her body. It was awesome.
Yeah, see, crazy. That's one of the few scenes that I vividly remember as a kid. Yeah. Like that shit sticks with you.
Because even now, I was like, holy shit, that was insanely violent.
I also, didn't expect that. This time, because I'd already seen it and remembered it, I was trying to think about the semantics of how she could have even done that. Like, how did she get through the wall behind the stall? Like, I mean, I'm assuming...
I have no idea.
There's some kind of hall back there. How'd she get there so fast? It doesn't matter. I know it doesn't matter, but...
So it was like, she's like in a crawl space or something, right? Or something, because she had to have been in a place where no one would have seen her do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's my first thought was, clearly there's like a hallway outside the bathroom, and she just went through the walls. Like, but then there'd be a giant hole in the wall. Someone would have seen it. The only possibility is she somehow, got into like the crawl space inside the wall. Which how the fuck would she have accessed that?
Or she like crawled in the vent or something like that. I was like, that was one of those things I need like a little bit of explanation how that happened.
Yeah, the bottom line is it doesn't matter. She's
but whatever. Alien. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay, because then she gets out of the bathroom and then just picks up some greasy-looking fucking dude at the bar, and like he seems fine at the beginning, so they like go back to his like place in like Malibu or something like that, and
it's Beverly Hills, bro,
or Beverly Hills, yeah, and he's got like this huge mansion, and they like get through the door, and he's like, I'm gonna go take a shower. You can join me if you want, or if you don't, whatever. Totally cool. Yeah. I was like, okay, that's a little creepy, but you know, it's not that bad. I expected worse.
You trust him for her at that moment in time.
Yeah. And then, and then she goes over and is like, it like sees him in the shower, and there's a really long scene of him getting out of the shower and just staring into the camera. I'm like, oh, I don't like this guy anymore.
Yeah.
And like I saw, there was a thing too. Is like it's. For movies that came out in that time period, I saw bush and a little bit of penis, and I was surprised. That's not something.
I didn't even catch any penis.
Maybe I was just trying to catch it. I don't know why, but it's a rarity in movies of that time period because audiences were grossed out by penis back then.
Yeah, you wanted to see wanted to see the D, but I don't think there was any D.
Yeah, but anyway, he comes out of the bathroom and is like, "All right, let's make this happen." She's like, "Nah, getting the ick. I don't like this anymore." He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna fucking rape you now."
It's
like
really weird
2
too because
seconds.
he's like, "I hear you. You're saying no, but no one says no to me," like or some shit like that. I can't remember what the line is.
He turned from like okay to like rapist in like 2 seconds. I was like, I got whiplash, and like,
See, my first thought was because I was trying to figure out like how does this greasy ass, shady looking guy have this house? He's clearly incredibly successful, whatever he does for a living. I was like, well, he has to be a fucking musician. And then I started looking at him, and he's like definitely a drummer in a rock band. And I was like, well, yeah, he's no one ever says no to drummers, so.
Yeah, no one ever says. Yeah, drummer lives he's like in Metallica or something.
Yeah,
like
that's my only thought. He's like the drummer for a grunge band at the time or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and then oh god, yeah, and then what happens? Okay, so after that so they come and investigate the house afterwards, and they were like, why would she settle for this creep? Like, and then one of the characters is like, she must have seen like a genetic inferiority in order to like not be with him. Maybe he was like a heroin user or a diabetic.
Yeah, it's a
like,
needle. If
what?
it's a needle, it's either heroin or diabetes.
Yeah, then they're like, it's like, he must have been a loser or something. And then they find the diabetes medication. It's like, loser. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's funny because it's like I think they meant it made him like a genetic loser to mate with her, but the way they said it, it was just like fucking loser,
like,
diabetes.
Like if you got diabetes, you're a total fucking loser, and no woman will ever want to fuck you. It's like, I was like, just make him a heroin addict. Like people can get behind that way easier.
Right, and that was my first thought too. I was like, oh, he's definitely a drummer if it's heroin. And then when it was diabetes, it was just sad.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, okay. Genetically inferior piece of shit.
Yeah, but somehow, what's his dick? I guess she just got desperate with what's his face, with the doctor.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
I keep calling him Doc Ock. Yeah. What's his fucking name? What is the actor's name? Molina.
Alfred Molina.
Molina, yeah.
I was so mad at him too. I was like, I really liked him. I think it was just because it was Alfred Molina, but I was like, you stupid motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, we'll get to that. I want to keep going down the scenes because like every scene back to back was a fucking banger. They're just all awesome. And then so she steals his car after that, and then wakes up on like next to the beach or something like that. And then this fucking scene where she's just walking down the road, and like a car maniacally swerves out of the way and just hits her, and she flies through like a bus, like a wherever you sit to wait for the bus.
Yeah, bus stop. She just slams into
it. Was insane. Like she just flies through the glass. And it's just nuts. And then this dude comes and he takes her to the hospital and pays for all her medical bills, which is really fucking weird.
Put it on my credit card. She's hot. It's fine.
Yeah, it's a very nice gesture, but it's fucking weird as shit. Even the receptionist lady's like, all right, it's probably going to be like 15 grand or whatever.
Dude, I love the actress that plays the receptionist. I've only seen her in one other thing, and it was Jeepers Creepers. She plays like the... Did you ever see Jeepers Creepers?
Yeah, I think we watched it together.
She plays the psychic that like helps out the police. She's an awesome actress, but that was just a cool little like cameo to see her in this. But anyway,
was she just basically playing the Forrest Whitaker character in Jeepers Creepers?
Yes. No. Yeah. Pretty much. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and then basically the same thing happens. Like she takes him back to the house, and the guy's like way nicer, kind of. Even though he's kind of weird, he like takes a picture with her at one point.
Yeah, Polaroid.
And it's like just pose for this picture. Like, we've known each other like 5 minutes. I just want to take a picture with you.
Yeah, let's immortalize the fact that I watched you get thrown into a fucking bus stop at 1,000,000 miles an hour and walk out of the hospital 20 minutes later.
Yeah, all I could think of in my head, he was like, my friends are never going to believe me when I told them I made it with this hot girl.
Right,
I got to immortalize the situation. But, oh, God, yeah.
Oh, that was when you get the tentacle nipples in the pool. That's how she kills him.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, and he's even like weirded out, like how how into it she is. He's like, whoa, let's take it slow.
Let's get to know each other. Come on.
Let's get to know each other a little bit. By the way, this is something I noticed too. I was like, so they're like about to have pool sex. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say it. Pool sex is the worst sex.
Agreed, 100%. Pool sex.
I don't think there's worse sex.
No, pool sex and shower sex are both criminally overrated.
Yeah, I agree. Shower sex is, at least you don't have that water friction in between. Because, like, there's a scene in, I don't know if you've ever seen Showgirls.
I have not. The movie that killed What's-Her-Face's career from Saved by the Bell.
Elizabeth Berkley.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it because it would almost be a fun guy scene it if I just wanted to torture you one night.
Okay.
But there's a scene in it where her and Kyle MacLachlan are who was in Twin Peaks, which is one of his greatest roles. Anyway, they're in a pool together, and he's like this sleazy like guy. He's like, "Hey, you want to be a star, don't you?" And they're in the pool, and then they're having sex and stuff. But it's not like, like casual pool sex. They're like fucking as hard as he can, and the waves of the pool are just going insane.
Oh shit!
It's one of the funniest things ever because it makes no sense. There's no way that works. It's just like an unintentional workout, and it's like, I don't know how. Anyway, that's all I think of whenever I see someone doing pool sex is just like
that scene. It's like,
like
you get flashbacks.
Full on pool fucking, which is just doesn't work.
Damn, man. That's a good band name.
Anyway.
Full on pool fucking.
Full on pool fucking. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, God, what? Oh, I did think when they're at the hospital and they're trying to find the dude that paid the bills.
Yeah.
And Michael Madsen and that girl are like kind of flirting.
Uh-huh.
I just love that the way Michael Madsen flirts is he sees some candy on the counter and then he just hands it to, he's like, want some candy? And that's like his big move.
Yeah, he's like, we're gonna make it later.
Yeah, that whole relationship was something else.
Oh God, speaking of Michael Madsen, can we talk about the weird, like, because there's the whole scene where the species chick, she kidnaps this woman, right, while she's putting groceries in her car. And she basically becomes her. She kidnaps her, ties her up in her house, ends up like chopping her finger off just to experiment and see what happens. All this fucked up shit, right? And but while she's at that lady's house, she has like a sex dream about Michael Madsen. And I had to rewatch it because his face was so fucking hilarious. Like, I just imagined them filming that. Like, do you remember that scene? Like, he comes out of this, like, gray door with, like, this light behind him, and he's, like, shirtless, and he's just like, eh.
I was like, I've been watching too much Twin Peaks, but my immediately thought, I was like, oh, nice David Lynch dream sequence. And it's like, that's, like, fully his style on Twin Peaks is, like, the strobe light, the weird smoke all over the place, these weird camera angles, and like.
So part of the reason I wanted to do this movie was I remembered that when you started telling me the other day that you were watching Twin Peaks. Like, I've seen bits and pieces of Twin Peaks over the years, and it sort of reminded me of some of the scenes of this movie, and I was like, oh, some might dig this right now because he's watching Twin Peaks.
Yeah, and even like the first scene. With the hobo in the train car, especially.
Oh yeah, where he's the transient.
Like, it's like the strobe light, and then he's got these weird, like, fucked up teeth, like the grill or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, that's straight out of like season 2 of Twin Peaks,
awesome.
Especially.
Yeah, I need to watch it.
And then she kicks him into the door and like 180s his like spine and stuff. Like, it was awesome. That was cool.
Fucking A. I do have to say, though, I have a favorite scene in the movie. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah, I want to hear it.
There are a lot of great scenes. This one's very small, and you probably wouldn't even think it would be my favorite scene, but it is just because of how absurd it is, and it's just on par for the movie. So, Forrest Whitaker runs into her outside the club when they're staking out the club again, and the two homeless men jump out and scare him in this really weird...
That's my favorite scene. I wrote that down when that happened.
Because it's so like, what the fuck? Yeah, so they jump out, they're like, huh, and he's like, eh. And then he turns around, and she's right there for some reason. Like, there's no reason she would be there, because she was reading their lips, and and she knew that they were going to be staking out the club, and she decides to go back anyway for some reason. So Forrest Whitaker runs into her, and he starts backing up, and he's like, "Hey, she's here, and the whole crew comes out of the club, and they run up, and Michael Madsen, like, he comes out with his gun, and he jumps up onto the hood of the car and crouches with his gun, like, and he's like looking for. There's just no reason for him to do that. It's just like he's just. You can tell he's just like, this is what the cool hunter guy would do, and it's so ridiculous. It's so fucking stupid, and I was laughing my ass off.
Oh yeah, I'm so happy you said that, because that was one of my favorite scenes too. I was like, that's my favorite jump scare I've ever seen in a movie, because he's just like looking behind a dumpster and two homeless dudes who are probably fucking or something, which I just love the backstory potentially behind that. And they both slowly get up and just look at him, and I was like, that's amazing. That's real filmmaking right there. And then she just jumps out a second later and is like, "Hey, what's up?" Like, she's trying to trap them though. Like, that's her whole plan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she's trying to. Okay, that makes sense. I think I had kind of. It's hard to stay focused during this movie because there's so much going on.
Yeah. It's like there's so many scenes too, because like there's so many scenes where you feel like, didn't that already happen? Because like with the two dudes that she murders, it's like it's almost the same thing.
Yeah, it's pretty repetitive.
It's almost the same scene. And then like, with the club scene. Because they end up going back to the club later and getting drunk, which I love that scene where they're just chilling out and like drinking and stuff. That was one of my favorite scenes of the movie.
Yeah, and I wanted to point out that in that scene, this is another reason that Ben Kingsley's character, I forgot his name. Oh my god.
Oh, Ben Kingsley.
Yeah. His character, the whole time, he's just like standing at the back of the club, staring at them, drinking.
Yeah.
And it like never gets, like, what the fuck was that about?
Just like some voyeuristic shit. He's like, I just want them to invite me over.
Yeah,
I was like, I want to be part of the cool kids.
It felt like there was supposed to be more to that, and they just forgot. Like, the filmmakers just forgot to elaborate on it. Like, or they didn't have time. It was weird.
I feel like they tried to have like a lot of. Well, I say they had tried to have a lot of depth with him, but they were like, there were scenes where they tried to like give him like. It's like, oh, I don't really understand this guy, because he's like, the opening scene where he's like crying a single tear about the girl getting killed, like he's broken up about it, and then there's a scene later on where he like tries to kill them, like, I gotta go based on protocol. It's like a Ripley thing, like from Alien, where she's like, well, we have to quarantine because you went out and like you got infected, like I can't let you on the thing, and like, you know what I mean, like that like kind of decision where it's like not gonna make you popular, but his decision was just like, that's insane. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah,
like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like, in her case, like, there was, like, wait, and it's like, well, we're on a foreign planet. Like, I can't let you in because, like, it could kill everybody.
Right.
So, I mean, like, that's what I got from that. And then they just don't do anything with him.
Yeah.
He's just there. He's like, go here, do this. And they were like, I don't know if they just thought, like, he speaks for himself, or it's like, the movie's not really about him anymore. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah, the screenwriter early on was just like, oh, he's going to be a big part of this, and then he just ended up like, he's like, nah, I'm more interested in all this other stuff over here. So yeah, he's interesting. He must have gotten a fat paycheck from that.
Yeah, fucking. Oh, I wanted to point out this thing that I noticed. So there's this music that plays when they're chasing her with the helicopters and everything, right after after that confrontation, and it's like. They're chasing her in the car or whatever, and she's got the chick, she's kidnapped. There's this really intense like electric piano music that's going like dun 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 dun, and I lost it, because I swear to God, I've heard that exact music in like 10 different movies from this decade. The same music.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it was in True Lies. I heard it in Predator.
Oh, yeah.
Like the dun 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 dun. Like, I just gotta see if I can find that in the soundtrack and just see what all it's been used on, because I've heard it a million times. I just
like
wanted
Terminator,
to point that out.
like that kind of like techno-y kind of.
Yeah, it's like a really shitty low octave electric piano, and there's like a drum beat going, and the piano's going dun 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 dun. Like, it's fucking. It's so. I swear to God, I've heard it a million times.
Yeah, no, I think that's just like standard from that era, especially like 80s and 90s. I feel like that was just like the standard action movie thing when you don't know what to do, you got to build up the tension.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, okay, sorry, you were in the middle of talking about something. I keep interrupting.
Oh yeah. Oh God.
You were talking about the scene where they're drinking. They're drinking at the club.
Oh yeah. Oh, I did write something down from okay, so the second guy that gets killed, the guy in the pool.
Right.
And when they go in to investigate, I just thought this was like a funny thing. Michael Madsen and the girl are like walking out front and they're like looking for clues or something. And then the lady just gets attacked by a squirrel out of nowhere.
Fucking squirrel.
And then Forrest Whitaker runs up right after that. And I just think it's funny because he calls himself like an empath. And he's just like, that chick, she's not here anymore. Like, he doesn't even care about her like being in peril, like with the squirrel or anything.
She was here. I just thought, she's not here anymore.
And the girl's like still like rubbing the squirrel off of her. Like, what the fuck? He's not like, are you okay? Or, something his character would say.
No, yep, he let the empath slip a little bit.
Because there's like scenes early on where it's like somebody says anything about somebody else being in pain and he's like almost in tears or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, he's just so in tune with everybody's emotions. I just thought that was funny that he didn't even give a shit what was going on here.
Now that I think about it, it seems so insane in the scene where she drives her car down the cliff with the lady she's kidnapped and she hits the like high voltage boxes or whatever and explodes and she's running away and they got all the helicopters flying and I was thinking about this just now. The helicopters start shooting rockets down like at the forest. Do you remember this? Like they're shooting these fucking rockets trying to hit her. Like they're in a residential Los Angeles neighborhood and helicopters are just shooting rockets like through the forest. Like the whole fucking state would see it. It would be all over the news. And then I remember like Ben Kingsley's assistant guy who shows up throughout the movie. He's like, he says something like, "Oh, the press is going ape shit. We got to tell them something." And he's like, "Whatever you tell them, don't tell them the truth." Just totally monotone. Like it's so fucking bad.
Yeah, they have no plan. They're just like, weather balloon fell into a high voltage box.
Yeah, what the fuck?
It's funny too because that high voltage box looks exactly like the one that's right outside my backyard right now.
That's awesome.
Like it's a big white box with high voltage stuff all over it.
Let's go.
And I was like, oh shit.
Don't hit it with your car.
Yeah, it would be hilarious if there was just like rockets because we live on a military base and just like military helicopters shooting down rockets at our backyard.
Yeah, don't mind. It's just the species.
I did think it was hilarious when so she's like supposedly dead. It's like, oh, we found a thumb in the dashboard or something. It's like, oh, she probably broke it off when she was getting out of there or something. Yeah. But the fact that Forrest Whitaker's character's there and he's like, she's still out there. Like he doesn't say that, which would have totally like given Michael Madsen like some like credence. Like people would have like believed him.
Yeah.
If he was like, no, I think she's still out there. He doesn't say shit.
No, like the only time he needed like to say scenes. Something, yeah.
Yeah, it was just like, well, we don't want that to be revealed yet.
Yeah,
like,
hang on.
I don't know. Just funny.
Yeah, man. I gotta say, it made me think of you because I think when we saw this this episode of Family Guy, I think we've seen it together. But when she's when she catches Alfred Molina, right, and they do it, their whole sex scene, and I just wanted to point out that after they're done, he looks up at her and he's like, "Oh, I enjoyed that immensely." And it reminded me of that scene in Family Guy where it's like the British porn, and he's like, "Oh, I'm arriving," and the chick's like, "Oh,
almost.
well done,
almost." Job well done.
Yes. Sorry, just reminded me of that.
Margaret, we could be having sexual intercourse right now. She's like, yes, we could, but let's not.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah. Oh, just amazing. Oh yeah, sorry to go back. This is the last thing about this scene, but when that explosion happens and the rockets start going off, I love that lady's reaction to or her and Michael Madsen's reaction to the car going down the hill.
Like, I don't remember what they
watching
say.
it go.
Oh, just their reactions?
They're just watching it go down the hill and then it explodes, and then the lady's like, oh my God. Like she's like, she says it in such a way that it's just like she stubbed her toe or something like that. She's just like, Oh my god! Like, there's no exclamation. She's not yelling at her.
Oh my god. Yeah. And this is clearly not the weirdest thing they've seen today.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess they're just like, yeah, I don't know.
It's
They're
either
just, like,
lazy or
burnt out
they're desensitized.
But yeah, so after that they're in the bar and they're just chilling out and they're just hanging out, which is one of my favorite parts of the movie because you could just like, they're all like really good actors and they can just like chill and like, have like a fun scene together.
Yeah.
And they're like getting Forrest Whitaker's character like a bunch of drinks, like he doesn't drink or anything like that. He's like, Long Island iced tea. He's like, oh, is there tea in it? And he's like, nope. Which I thought was like just a funny, like, campy line.
Yeah.
Right? And and then there's this thing that Michael Madsen says, where it's like, he's like, are you sad that she's dead? She's like, no, not sad. I just respected her. And I was like, what? She's a psychopathic alien murderer. What are you talking about? She killed 3 innocent people.
Hey, he's got respect for her, man. Respect for the hunt.
I just respect her game, I don't know.
Look, he's been really bored for a long time. He needed this,
Yeah, that's his whole thing. Yeah. Oh god. Oh yeah, and then Alfred Molina's trying to pick up those girls at the bar.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
And what does he say? He's like, oh yeah, they might like unusual men like us. Let's go up and talk to them. I love all his lines of dialogue. They're so great.
Forrest is like, oh no, women think I'm weird. Bye.
Yeah, I was like, I thought they were gonna like develop that into like he's like, hey, like a gay crush on him or something like that. Like it just
missed opportunity.
It felt like that. Yeah, I don't know if like it was Forrest Whitaker. He's like, well, character's kind of bland. Maybe I'll give him, something. And I don't know, just a thought.
Yeah, man.
Like, okay, we got to talk about. So, there's so many sex scenes in this movie, which is like, it's weird because they don't really happen anymore, like in movies. Like,
no, it's pretty egregious. Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, and it's not. I think the only thing that I'm kind of like icky about is like how much what's her faces has to be naked for it.
Right.
Because it just seems like they're just like, we just want to see your tits and your ass, and it seemed like a little bit. I think overall the sex scenes weren't too bad. I don't think. I
mean, mid 90s, right?
Okay.
Height of consumerism. This is a couple years before Woodstock '99.
Yeah.
It's 90s, right? It's like how are we gonna? It's like really. This is right before a massive technological boom, right? So most things that could be done in movies had been done. So like, how can we guarantee box office success? Tits, as many tits as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, and they did it. I mean, they knew what we get the movie to sell. I was reading an article the other day, which and then I watched a video, and then it kind of. So there's this article talking about how Gen Z really hates sex scenes in movies. It was like just a basic article. I don't know who they interviewed or who they talked to, but they were like, by and large, Gen Z like thinks sex scenes in movies and TV are like egregious, and like actors shouldn't have to do that, and like why would you want to see that in a movie? Which I get. Yeah, it's like it's weird to like tell actors who are like performing to like get naked and simulate sex and be like equated to like softcore porn.
Sure.
To a degree, which I get, but there was this video that I watched later on where the psychologist was talking about like the impact that movies and eroticism have on like a culture at large, and like if you take sexuality out of movies like completely, not talking about like egregious like bad sex scenes where it's like violent against women or just in poor taste in general, but like eroticism in general where people are like tender and characters are well developed and the sex is important to the plot. Like if you take that out completely, like all you're left with to identify with sexually is porn. Like that's the only other avenue you have when eroticism is completely kicked out of movies, which I thought was really fascinating.
Yeah,
I never really thought about it that way.
Yeah, because porn is completely over dramatized and unrealistic. So if that's all people have, that can really fuck a culture up. Especially young kids, which is like, it's weird to talk about younger people watching sex scenes in movies in general, but like if you're growing up and you're seeking out
sexuality, like it's, if you only have one avenue where it's just people, you know, just like just violating each other, like I don't know, like there's an argument to be made for portraying sexuality in a positive way in movies, which I just thought was interesting. And like I never really cared about sex in movies, but when I thought about it that way, I was like, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Like there is like a way to portray sex that is not negative or dirty, or like it's just part of life, you know?
Yeah, that's a really interesting argument, because it's like obviously for so long, you know, the only way to get access to any kind of pornography was to be an adult, or if you were a kid to, you know, swipe it from your parents or get an older person to buy it for you, right? So it's like there was an argument to be made about a reduction of sex in movies, I feel like up until the internet, right? Where any kid with access to any device can see anything that they should absolutely not be seeing. Then it's like, well, shit, if you've completely lost control over that, then you might as well portray it in a way that is positive and healthy, because that's really interesting. Like you said, I'm sure there are people talking about that and analyzing it.
Yeah, and it just, it was one of those things you never really think about. You're like, but, you know, I mean, like growing up, like seen a lot of movies and a lot of different ways of portraying it. Like having that variety of like, there are movies where it shows negative aspects and positive aspects and like just a whole spectrum of stuff, and not just like people fucking and like trying to emulate that, which is, you know, I think unhealthy, especially for younger people. Yeah. But anyway, I'll get off my soapbox here. We don't have to keep talking about this.
No, that's cool. Hey, you know what? I mean, like I said at the beginning, I figured we would have a hard time really pulling any real deep themes from this, but I think just that surface level observation is enough to really put this in a place and time where it's at least somewhat culturally significant, you know?
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. Anyway, back to the ridiculous fucking scenes in this movie, because I've got one more. It's hard for me, and this is more of a general thing. Well, it's like, because, you know, okay, it's hard for me not to point out how fucking completely ridiculous it is at the end of this movie that the four of them, Ben Kingsley and you know, when they're all still alive, they chase her down into these tunnels, and it's ridiculous that the four of them could think that they could win after she has killed half of Los Angeles. It's clearly, you know, super difficult to stop, super strong. You don't think maybe you should call for backup, some kind of specialized combat team? I mean, 3 out of the 4 of you have absolutely no combat experience, no idea how to use the weapons they're using, and the weapons that, like, they're flamethrowers for some reason that they just pull out of the back of a van, like. It's all just Michael Madsen. It's funny. Just my thought was like, what the fuck? They're so stupid. They're incredibly brave to the point of fucking dumb. Like when they are in that cave, like, and Forrest Whitaker's like climbing all over the rocks and shit. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, you can't. Sorry, that's it. The scene's great.
I just love when they get to the tunnel and it's like, she could only have gone this way. There's no other possible way she could have gone.
Yeah.
They just see an open thing. It's like, oh, that's where she is. That's the only, and like you said, like your first thought is not immediately call back up. It's like, okay, get back up here, get people around this exit, or try to find other areas where she could get out. You know, like something, anything, so if you can't escape.
There was another great Michael Madsen line in there when they're like going down the stairs to get into the tunnel, and they find the dead like security guard on the floor, and Michael Madsen looks back at everybody and he's like, she must have come through here. It's like
a Forrest Whitaker line. You should have given that one to him.
Yeah, I know. It's like they could have played off of that and been like, he could have been like, stealing your lines there, empath. I don't know. They could have, instead of it just
or Forrest Whitaker should have just been like, no shit, dude.
Yeah,
that would have been amazing.
Yeah, just like, but I think just the fact that didn't happen proves that a lot of it, you know, like Forrest Whitaker's character wasn't intended to be so fucking stupid, like ridiculous.
Yeah,
it was supposed to be this empathetic, contrasting member of the team, and it just failed miserably.
Because you could have made that funny. Like, you could have made that, like, why is this dude here? Why are we listening to him?
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, to be fair to his character, I think he ends up doing the most besides the woman. Like, they end up doing the most to help the group at large find this girl.
Yeah, for sure.
Because even, like, Michael Madsen protects him a couple times because Ben Kingsley's like, what the fuck? And he, like, has a rational, reaction. He's like, yeah, we know that. How does that help? He's like, better than any ideas you've come up with, Poindexter, or something like that.
Yeah, they had a couple moments where they poked at each other's fucking stupid lines, which was appreciated.
Yeah, it was all in good fun, you could tell. Like, the movie wasn't taking itself too seriously, which I appreciated. But yeah, I do love that scene where they're back at the bar and they're drinking and stuff, and then Michael Madsen and that girl start dancing and stuff, and they're like having their romantic moment on the dance floor. Yeah. And he's like, women are never around long enough to see what I do.
Yeah, they don't stick around.
And he's like, and she's like, oh, are you going to go back to New York? And she's like, I wouldn't ever want to see you again. And then he just leaves right afterwards because he sees at the bar, which I was like, beautiful, perfect comedic timing. That was amazing. Yeah, but and then so she goes back up to his room, and there's actually a nice bit of tension where they're in the elevator, and she'd changed her hair. For some reason, they don't recognize her, even though that her hair is just brown.
Well, hey, you know, all the lead up to that was that all they had were blurry, poorly enhanced CCTV footage shots of her face. They didn't really know what she looked like.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because this is all the footage they had of her was before she metamorphosed.
Yeah, here I am defending the logic of this movie.
I mean, it does work because they only had that one fucked up picture of her, but they had the footage of her at the motel too, right?
Yeah, but it was really like low quality. They tried to enhance it, but she was blurry. They only had two photos of her face. They had that CCTV footage from the motel that was blurry, and they couldn't really make out the details of her face. And then they had the Polaroid photo that the second dead guy took, where her face was also blurry, like she was mid-turn in reaction to the flash. And so they didn't really know what she looked like.
I love that the only reason he took that photo was for them to be like, oh, we can't. I don't know what she looks like still.
Yeah, they had to have something.
Totally pointless.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that bit of tension with her in the elevator with him, and then him going into the room, like Michael Madsen and that woman's relationship. I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. Like it was cute.
It was cute. It was all right. Yeah.
But he goes back to her hotel room, like, and he's just duding it up, being a dude, and just like, walks inside, and then they're like making out and like practically like fucking on the door, and she's like listening in on them.
Yeah.
And then there's this scene where they're on the floor, and he's like, they're all like starting to get naked, and he has his feet up at one point like a toddler.
Yeah.
And she like takes his socks off. I was like, is that your 5-year-old son? Like, what the fuck is this?
She's like, oh, cool socks. I think she actually says that. She's like, cool socks.
Yeah, and she takes them off for him. It was just like, it was one of those moments I'm like, this just looks like a mom and her child.
Yeah. And then she starts performing fellatio. Which I thought the whole reason they were doing that was that the alien chick was going to burst in like while they were having oral sex.
Fellatio was being performed.
Yeah, but it didn't happen. They just showed that just to show them like her sucking his dick. There you go.
It was a very horny movie.
Oh yeah.
It's like more so than I would have expected, but and then Alfred Molina comes back to his room, and she's in there, and he's like, I've been waiting for you. And I loved his character a lot, but I was like, don't be this stupid. You can't be this stupid.
Hey, but this kind of thing never happens to him, you know?
Yeah, and he got rejected at the bar by the two women.
Yeah, it's not his fault.
Which his game for going up to those two women totally cold was not bad.
No, it wasn't. Like, I'm a Harvard professor.
He's very cordial, very nice. And then those two dudes just box him out, and I was like, that's mean. Come on.
Yeah.
You can just be like, come on, move along.
Yeah, he definitely, he got the short end of the stick in this movie.
Yeah. But he got to have sex with Natasha, whatever her name is.
Yeah, I guess it depends on your perspective, whether or not.
Which was like a pretty graphic like sex scene, like softcore almost.
Yeah, and he was, I feel like they tried to be nice. He was really the only death that they didn't show. Like, they briefly showed his body for a second, but they didn't show him getting killed.
Yeah, which I was kind of sad. I was kind of hoping he would make it. Like, at the end, I was like he would just be, like, struggling to be alive or something like that, but no. It's a bummer.
Yeah, but, we get the epic, way too long hunt down scene with the alien in the water.
Yeah.
And the alien baby child.
Oh, which baby penis?
Hey, yeah, you got some. Yeah, well, because Nevermind, was a year old. It was the perfect time for more baby penis in media.
It was the weird thing about it though is like it wasn't like this kid was like an infant. Like this kid was like probably 5 years old. Like it was like
he was a toddler.
Weird.
Well, he was growing very quickly. Sumner.
Yeah, maybe he was just a really lanky toddler.
He was second generation. We don't even know. We don't even know what was going on.
But yeah, I was like, that kid is way too young to be having his penis on screen.
Yeah. Hey, man, I told you this one. There's no going back. Once you see Species, there's no. At least we got the epic alien, kill scene. I gotta say, the kill scene was fucking awesome. Where Michael Madsen's like, "Let go, you motherfucker! Slow down."
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and then boom, headshot with the shotgun. Then you get the.
That's his badass Bruce Willis line.
Yeah.
Let go, you motherfucker.
And you get the spraying headless carcass falling into the lake of fire in slow motion. Like, what more could you possibly want?
Where the bad folks go when they die. They don't go to heaven where the angels fly.
Speaking of which, what the fuck happened? Like the lake of fire. Like you have this the water. Yeah. Like what caused the water to catch on fire? I guess like the flamethrower, gasoline. Like because Forrest Whitaker lights the baby on fire and then the oil spreads. I don't fucking know.
It was just a comment about LA's water supply. It's just like
maybe it was.
flammable.
Yeah, maybe it was. The end of the movie was fucking terrible.
Yeah, that was easily the worst part of the movie, I think. Like when they're down in the sewer.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, because even and it's not really their fault, but that was some pretty rough CGI of the monster.
See, I didn't even mind the CGI. Like, I just thought the pacing and the shooting of that whole sequence was just... It
was almost like it was done by I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It was almost like it was done by a different director. Like, it felt like they got, like, a second unit guy in there, and he just, like, did, like just really standard coverage.
It felt
seemed
very
like
uninspired to me. But,
Yeah.
I'm complaining just to complain.
Yeah, but I mean, tentacles came out of her tit.
Tentacles did come out of her.
Off.
They did come out of her tits. Holy shit! Have we gone like 25 minutes over our hour right now?
Oh, have we really?
Damn. Well, some of this
Not
is
bad.
probably bullshit. Yeah. Okay. Well, we should probably wrap it up. Final thoughts? Any other badass scenes?
I remembered when we went to do that. I didn't ask you what you were drinking in the first part.
Oh, Yangling Amber Lager. Supposedly
very nice.
The country's oldest beer, self-proclaimed, although I feel like every beer claims that.
The beer of the revolution.
Yes.
I'm drinking a Sapporo, the beer of my country.
Oh, I just had a Sapporo the other night and thought of you. We went to a badass sushi place, yeah. Although I gotta say, it was sort of a bizarre experience. My mom took us to this new sushi place down by the quarry, and the sushi was fantastic. Like everything we ordered was really good, but it was like I don't know if it was like 98.5, but there was like hardcore hip hop playing the whole time, which was I don't know, like I don't mind hip hop, like I love hip hop, but it was weird because like it was a very traditional like themed restaurant. Like everything was like the servers were dressed in like traditional Japanese garb and then there was just like fucking hardcore like trap playing over the PA, and it was just or over the restaurant PA. It was just a little like jarring. And then they had TVs, huge TVs in the background, and they had the Gaza shit going on. So it was just weird to be sitting there like I'm sitting there just like eating sushi and like, I like the spicy mayo on this, and there's hostages being beheaded in the background and like hip hop playing, and I was like, man, the The first world is a strange place to be right now.
You feel like you're on acid. You're getting so much
it just
stimuli
felt like
at
a
once.
weird, fucked up dream.
It sounds like a David Lynch dream.
Yeah.
I'm too obsessed with David Lynch right now.
You are. But
I can't.
Point being, I thought of you. I had a Sapporo. It was delicious.
Oh man, that's nice. Yeah, Sapporo's pretty good. It's kind of like their. I don't even know.
It's like
It's
the
kinda
Budweiser,
like their Miller Lite here.
right? Okay.
Yeah, well, whatever their like most basic beer here is.
Well, because I thought, because all we ever get at sushi restaurants here, you get Kirin Light, which tastes a lot like Bud Light to me, and then you get Sapporo, which is like the more premium, full flavored
They definitely like
beer.
their hops. Japanese like their hops over here. Like every beer I've had is super hoppy.
That's pretty cool. Well, how many of those beers would you need to enjoy this movie?
Oh, gosh. I think 3. I think 3 is a pretty good round number for that.
Solid 3. All right. So
Maybe 3.5.
Yeah. So that's really like saying, because if you need 3.5 out of 5 beers, that's kind of giving it 2.5 stars, pretty much, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I'd say I'm about in the same place. It's tough for me to rate movies like this just because of the sentimental value. Like I told you, I was not going to be able to watch it objectively. Like,
yeah.
But it's entertaining, to say the least.
It would have been. I think I would have had a ton of fun if like you and I were just watching it together, like in the same room. Like, I think that the movie's ideal for like if you have like a bunch of buddies together, and like you're gonna watch like some crazy fucked up movie.
Yeah, there were so many times I just wanted to pause it and make fun of shit with you. There were a few times that I did pause it and like looked over and there was no one on the couch, and I got sad.
Just sad. Yeah, I was just looking at Hank. I was like, holy fuck, and Hank would look up.
Holy
like,
fuck, Hank.
And I'd be like, you wouldn't understand. You're a dog. You don't get it.
Well, thanks for putting up with another one of my one guy's seen it's.
This was definitely better than The Stranger, so I appreciate it.
You can't even put them in the same category, really.
No, they're in leagues of their own.
But yeah, I feel like I'm gonna try to keep finding other weird '90s movies like this that I know I've seen that I'm sure you haven't, because they're all a good time.
Yeah, I hadn't even heard about this movie, so I was pleasantly surprised.
Fuck yeah. Well, any parting thoughts?
What did I don't think so. I think I went through literally everything I had written down, which is insane. I wrote down a shitload of notes.
I can feel it that the podcast is almost over.
I feel it. We're walking away and we're playing Resident Evil 5 right now.
Oh yes, we have to finish it. Let's go. What are we still doing this podcast? All right.
Yeah,
well,
let's end this shit.
We love you guys. This has been One Guy's Seen It. Next week we'll be back with something Sumner has seen. And remember, Sumner,
every movie's better with at least one beer.
Oh yeah.
One guy's seen it, the other guy hasn't. First guy's gonna tell the second guy all about it while they both get drunk.